Sweet, so we're at Mallory Park for rounds 3 and 4 of the Classic 2CV Racing Championship. We've just done the first race of the weekend. We had a bit of a debacle with qualifying, so that didn't happen technically. We had to follow the safety car. So unfortunately, it was qualifying order was determined by the championship positions. So we started with Nick Crispin on pole and Bully in second. But we'll go for a wander. We'll talk about everyone's race and what happened. And that's that. Let's go. So we'll have a look at, George had a spectacular bit of fun today. So he was fighting with a cacophony of drivers and ended up with a little bit of an incident with Simon Turner, who went sort of sideways, and they're sort of repairing a little bit of damage to their splitter, which ended up in the middle of the track. But George had a good bit of fun, a little bit of squabbling and some fighting all through, and actually finished, let me have a quick look, George finished P8, thank you very much, after his splitter decided to depart the chat. So we'll move on to the next car and see what happened. I think Simon Turner is up next. We'll see how he did. So if I have a quick read through my notes, I did speak to Simon Turner earlier. He started 13th. Second to last lap, there were sort of 4 abreast going to the S's, and that's where some contact happened between him, Martin Ryman and George Broadhurst, and he ended up sort of sideways, which pushed him back down to 9th, but he was sort of sitting about 7th or 8th at the time, having a good battle, and sort of pushed on from there. You can see, I don't think there's too much damage to the car actually, but Simon Turner's here. We've got Howard Wright that had a good time here. Not too much damage. There's a little bit of scarring from the incident with George, as you can see at the back. But notes that he gave me, he said it was great racing up until then, just swapping places and towing around, but fantastic fun and quite tiring apparently. So fantastic job from Simon Turner. We'll talk about Bully. So Andrew Bull started on second and finished second, fighting with the top 4 throughout the race. It was a very, very close battle at the front, and Bully managed to get P2, just short of the win from Nick Crispin. He said it was a hot race, fantastic, and a very busy start. Mid-section of the race, he said he settled into 4th place, was quite happy to sit behind the top 3, and sort of started making his moves towards the end of the race. He did a sort of wall of death around myself for P2. Tried that again with Nick Crispin, didn't quite work out with the drag to the line, but a fantastic P2 from Bully, who seems to be knocking out a couple dents that maybe were caused by the rear of my car, which he's sticking his tongue out. But again, a fantastic result for Andrew Bull, who sits firmly in 2nd place in the championship. We'll move on to Matthew Alsris-Brown in the 33 ECAS liveried car. So Matthew actually finished P13, started right at the back, ended up near the back, but had some fantastic fun there. I think there was 4 of them going around with Rob Dawson, Matt Hollis and David O'Keefe all having a bit of a battle, but he did say enjoyed every moment of it, and it was a fantastic bit of battling between the lot of them. So there was some close racing throughout the field, which is awesome to see. Everyone seemed happy. There was actually a bit of damage suffered to the ECAS car in testing on Thursday, where he got collected by another track day user. But I'm sure more information on that will be shared throughout the day. We've got Martin Ryman's car. Martin has been plagued with bad luck for a long, long time now. And it was nice to see him at the front, but unfortunately it was a DNF for Martin Ryman today, who got tangled up in the incident with Simon Turner, lost his wing, and that actually ripped out the fuel line, which ended his race prematurely. You can hear the cars in the background. Chris Yates is doing a bit of post-race repairs. That's not gone so well.
No.
But the fuel line was attached to that, was it? And it's sort of,
you know where it is, and it goes along the chassis where it clips together. Well, it was unclipped. So the only thing we can think of is when I got hit, this has unclipped it. That's
just
the
pulled
only
it
thing
off.
I can think of. Yeah. But what's the chances of that? 1 in a billion.
Exactly. It is. You must have broken several mirrors at some point in the last few years.
Lorry load
But there you go. So that Martin Ryman, unfortunately, a DNF for today. But we'll move on. We've got Chris Yates, who I think had a fantastic run. He actually finished P6. He's been begging to get into the top 10, sort of touching the top 5 for the last couple of years. And this time out, he managed to get P6. He was saying, actually, he was a bit concerned about the first lap turn 1 incidents, but it all seemed a little bit better than he expected, actually, which is fantastic. And he said P6, he actually lost 2 of the blades on his fan and ended up with a 1-bladed fan. But he said it was the last couple laps, and it actually helped him get a proper good slipstream on the guys ahead. And he passed, I think he said, all in one row. He passed, where is he? He passed George, Sam, Martin, and Simon Turner and Howard Wright in just one go. So we'll move on to the next cars. We didn't really get a chance to speak to Martin Sunderland or Matthew Hollis, but we did get a quick chat with, who have we got? Chris Hall, who finished P10. His car is round the back here somewhere, I believe, if I can find him. Here he is, Chris Hall, 96. Chris Hall finished P10, started 15th, had a terrible start, ended up 17th, but he said his good engine helped him catch up with the rest of the pack, and he sort of worked his way through from a bad start. So yeah, I think P10 for Chris is fantastic. He was delighted with the day. The car's always looking spectacular, so fantastic job from Chris Hall. We'll go on to the Lion cars, if we can find them. Just round the corner here, I believe. Yeah, here they are. So you'll actually see the Lion cars are always doing work on their cars. Hello. You can see both cars are actually in the middle of repairs. They both suffered a bit of a painful weekend, I think. But Sam finished P7, started 11th, so he's gained some places through the weekend's racing. I think they're doing an engine change for some reason. But he said it was fast, tough, and very close at the front there with his battle. So fantastic drive from Sam Archer in the 79. David O'Keefe didn't have a great day at all. I think he was absolutely dead last. He got to the first corner and the engine just completely died. I think they found a little bit of straw stuck in the bottom of his jet, and that's unfortunately ruined his day's racing. And as you can see, working hard to sort those issues out today. So yeah, it was a sort of potential for the Lion cars, but not really coming to anything particular. We'll head round to Nick Crispin's batch and Ethan Sparrow and the Podium Motorworks cars. Nick Crispin, absolutely rapid, held the lead for the entirety of the race pretty much. Very fast, very consistent. Just had to keep his lines really, a bit of defending involved. He had to work hard. We did speak to Nick Crispin. He said it was a very hard work race. He had to defend every single lap. And when he crossed the line, he was relieved by the checkered flag. One of the hardest races to win, he said, which is fantastic. Obviously, he had myself, Andrew Bull, and Ethan Sparrow chasing him for the entirety of the lap. Ethan Sparrow in the 46, a P3 finish. He said great day's worth of atmosphere, some super clean racing. He said he got a good start. He was expecting Nick to run away with it, but we didn't. We kept with him, and he said it was a really changeable race. And he was far less good on the races than I was. We'll head over to the 13 car. I'll gloss over that quickly because it's sort of a bit biased. We got P4, fantastic start from 8th. We were sitting in second for a while, maybe a couple of tough decisions, but 4th place is a solid finish. And finally, Robert Dawson in the number 20 car, finished P12. Engine should have been strong. I think he was struggling a little bit with himself and the car and just needs to find a little bit of confidence. But P12 from, I think it was about 15th-ish on the grid. But that is basically a wrap-up of the day's racing. It's been fantastic. We hope that you've enjoyed the racing if you were here and you've enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time for round 4.
Set wide and